In the spring of 1815, the most dangerous man in Europe escaped from an island prison with about 1,000 soldiers and marched on France. The king sent an army to stop him, and when the two sides met on a mountain road, the escaped prisoner walked out alone, in range of every musket, ripped open his coat and said, "If any of you wants to kill his emperor, here I am." The army sent to arrest him joined him on the spot. He took back an entire country without firing one shot. His name was Napoleon Bonaparte. And no, he was not short. We'll get to that. First, you need to understand how a bullied immigrant kid with a funny accent ended up owning Europe. Napoleon is born on August 15th, 1769, in Ajaccio, Corsica, into minor nobility, a fancy family name attached to an empty wallet on an island France had bought barely a year earlier. At 9, he gets a scholarship to military school in mainland France, where the cadets bully him relentlessly. Poor, foreign, small for his age, with a Corsican accent so thick he couldn't say his own name the French way. His response? He studied. Obsessively. History and mathematics, the exact two subjects you need if your life plan is conquer Europe using cannons. In 1785, he graduates and joins the artillery, the unglamorous nerd branch of the army. Precisely the wrong thing to hand this particular nerd. Then, 1789, the French Revolution. France loses its collective mind, and every aristocratic senior officer either flees the country or gets shortened by a guillotine. Suddenly, the army has thousands of openings and one hiring requirement: be good at war. For a talented nobody with a chip on his shoulder, the revolution wasn't a crisis. It was a job fair. By 1793, he's made his name in combat and is rocketing up the ranks at a speed that made the older generals deeply nervous. They were right to be. In 1796, he marries Josephine, a glamorous Parisian widow socially way out of his league, and days later ships off to command the French army in Italy. Broke, starving, short on boots. Within a year, he's thrashed the Austrians repeatedly, turned that ragged army into his personal fan club, mostly by paying them with Italy, and come home a national hero. The government looks at his popularity and starts sweating. So, in 1798, they happily approve his next idea: invade Egypt to threaten Britain's route to India. He brings soldiers, plus 150 scientists. Half invasion, half field trip. He crushes the Mamluks at the Battle of the Pyramids, and then the British Navy finds the French fleet at Aboukir Bay and deletes it, stranding his entire army in the desert. Keep an eye on the British. They're going to become a theme. His solution to being stranded is, frankly, incredible. He quietly gets on a ship and leaves. He ghosts his own army. Back in Paris, where the government is imploding, he stages a coup in 1799 and makes himself first consul, a dictator with extra steps. And here's the twist: he's good at governing. The Bank of France, the Legion of Honor, a rebuilt school system, a win at Marengo to keep Austria humble. And in 1804, the Code Napoleon, a civil law code that still forms the backbone of legal systems around the world. Most conquerors leave ruins. This one left paperwork. Then, December 2nd, 1804. Notre Dame. The Pope himself travels to Paris for the coronation, and at the key moment, Napoleon takes the crown and places it on his own head. The bullied kid from Corsica just told God's personal representative on Earth, "I've got it from here." 1805, Austerlitz. Facing Austria and Russia combined, Napoleon fakes weakness, abandons the best ground on purpose, baits them into attacking, then springs a trap so clean that military academies still teach it. In 1806, Prussia talks tough and gets dismantled in a single day. Most of Europe is now conquered, allied, or ruled by one of his siblings. He handed out crowns to family like a man re-gifting fruitcake. The British, unable to beat him on land, attack where it truly hurts: cartoons. Their newspapers draw him as a raging, toddler-sized tyrant. In reality, he stood about 5'7", average for the era, but the joke has stuck for 2 centuries. He conquered Europe, the British conquered his reputation, because the real cracks come from Napoleon himself. In 1808, he shoves his brother onto the throne of Spain, and the Spanish people, funded by, say it with me, the British, respond with 6 years of guerrilla warfare he'd call his Spanish ulcer. In 1810, he divorces Josephine, who can't give him an heir, and marries Marie-Louise of Austria. A son arrives in 1811, dynasty secured, ego fully inflated. Which brings us to the worst decision of his life. 1812, Russia. He marches east with around 600,000 men, the largest army Europe has ever assembled. The Russians refuse to play. Retreat, burn everything, retreat again. He reaches Moscow and finds it abandoned, then on fire. No enemy, no food, winter incoming. The retreat, cold, starvation, disease, Cossack raids, leaves only a few tens of thousands alive. He never lost a battle in Russia. He lost the army. Europe smells blood. In 1813 at Leipzig, the biggest battle the continent had ever seen, everyone piles on at once, and Napoleon finally loses big. By 1814, the Allies are in Paris, he abdicates, and they exile him to Elba, a little island he is, insultingly, allowed to rule. They handed the man who owned Europe an island of 12,000 people, like giving a retired dragon a scented candle. He lasted 10 months. Which brings us back to that mountain road. March 1815, the open coat, the army that switched sides. As he marched on Paris, French headlines reportedly went from "The monster has escaped" to "His Imperial Majesty arrives in Paris" in about 3 weeks. The king fled. Napoleon was back without a shot fired. The comeback lasts 100 days. Europe declares war, not on France, but on Napoleon personally. One man, officially designated a threat to world peace. And on June 18, 1815, at Waterloo, the British under Wellington, who else, grind him down all day until the Prussians arrive in the evening and everything collapses. He abdicates a second time. No cozy island now. The British ship him to St. Helena, a volcanic rock over 1,000 miles from anywhere, where he spends 6 years reading and dictating his memoirs, essentially producing his own documentary in advance. 5 stars, obviously. On May 5, 1821, he dies at 51, stomach cancer most likely. In 1840, France asks for him back. Today he lies at Les Invalides in Paris, under a gigantic dome in one of the largest tombs in Europe. For a short guy. His wars cost millions of lives, let's not sand that down. But his law code still runs half the world, and every officer on Earth still studies his battles. The other kids laughed at how he pronounced his own name, so he made sure history would never stop saying it.